The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping. One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear, that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming.
He quoted our colleague, Elder Neal A. Maxwell, who had said, and I quote, "In a way, Latter-day Saint scholars at BYU and elsewhere are a little bit like the builders of the temple in Nauvoo, who worked with a trowel in one hand and a musket in the other. Today, scholars building the temple of learning must also pause on occasion to defend the kingdom. I personally think," Elder Maxwell went on to say, "this is one of the reasons the Lord established and maintains this university. The dual role of builder and defender is unique and ongoing. I'm grateful we have scholars today who can handle, as it were, both trowel and musket." Then Elder Oaks said challengingly, "I'd like to hear a little more musket fire from the Temple of Learning," pleading that this institution not only stands, but stands unquestionably committed to its unique academic mission and the church that sponsors it, while maintaining loyalty to prophetic leadership and devotion to revealed doctrine. My brethren have made the case for the metaphor of musket fire, which I have endorsed yet again today.
Travis, my good soul. So, a person who tells a lie cannot be trusted, because you now know they lied about at least one thing, therefore you cannot trust them for any other thing. Now, we're not talking an error, like somebody says Revolutionary War and he meant to say Civil War. That's not a lie. I'm talking not telling the truth when you know the truth. Not a typing error or whatever. Actual lie, a falsehood. And so, let's put the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to the test. Okay? They claim that it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That it's Joseph Smith's church. That Jesus is Joseph's Christ of Christianity. That the Book of Mormon is another testament of Jesus Christ. Okay? We all know that. That is the church's claims. Do I need to take you to the church's website? Are you going to call me a liar? Be careful about falsely accusing someone of being a liar. So, let's go to the Book of Mormon. See what the Book of Mormon says. 1 Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2. Uh-oh, everybody knows. Now Mormons are running and hiding like cockroaches. Mormons are getting angry because they're descendants of Danites who have taught them to lie about the church, to make joke of converts who fall for their lies, pay the church money. Yeah. Verse 2. Yea, I make a record in the language of my father which consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. Nobody can tell me that the learning of the Jews is Christian. And so, because this church lies to you, they do not tell you the Christ of the Jews. And you'll be surprised to know that, sure enough, the Book of Mormon is correct. It's in the learning of the Jews. Messiah ben Joseph. He's among 4 messianic figures. What? Messiah ben David, Messiah ben Joseph, Elijah, which is Messiah ben David, and the righteous priest, which is both. And technically both are Elijah and the righteous priest. So yeah, that's why on the 3rd day of Passover, Joseph Smith had his vision of Moses, Jehovah, Elijah, and Elishua appeared to him. Gave him keys. But we're not talking about the learning of the Jews. We were just testing to see if the prophets were true prophets of the living Jesus. Whoops, Jesus isn't real, is he? Musion, says Constantine. You've all been fooled, deceived. The prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are now false. You have put them to the test from Matthew chapter 7, starting in verse 15. You shall know a false prophet by their fruits. And their fruits are lies. All Mormons who support and defend the lies of the prophets are they themselves liars. You are enemies because you know the truth and you're still lying about it, deceiving other people and threatening them to believe your lies and pay the church money. You're the bully. And so, some time ago, Tony Martinez, you are the biggest liar in America. Well, that is a lie. The news has been keeping track of one particular person in general who has broken the record for the most lies. And this was from my video, BYU orders new students to murder LGBTQ to save and defend the church. And so, yeah, Tony Martinez is threatening me to prove that the church prophets didn't incite Tony to make threats to other people. Good job, Tony. And on the same video, everybody's a hater on this one. You're getting exposed. It was a trap. You fell for it. Even though the prophets, Holland specifically, did do that. It was all over the news here in Utah. And so yes, LGBTQ are deeply concerned and deeply troubled, and that's why it made the news here in Utah. They know what they heard. They know what they experienced from Mormons here in Utah. And to have a prophet of the Lord Jesus, as they lie, and Mormons believe and accept the lies and enforce their lies upon others. Therefore, LGBTQ are greatly afraid for their lives now, as every Mormon who goes to BYU will now be educated on murdering LGBTQIAPO+, because it's not the church's family values. And so, on that same video, STL Motorman, Bull Cookies, calling me a liar. Been called a liar a lot lately. Jeffrey Liller, on same video, said, WTF. Chris Whitaker, same video, this is so far out of context, calling me a liar, that I can't really even call it clickbait. Clickbait is where you send a person down a rabbit hole to eventually lead them to an advertisement to buy something or give somebody money. YouTube has set it up that way. Oh, an advertisement on a YouTube video that I was watching that has no relevance to the video that I'm watching. I'm gonna click on it. That is clickbait. A more accurate term would be propaganda. We've already established the fact that the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints lie to us. They're the ones spreading the propaganda and have incited Chris Whitaker. Are you the child of Brother Whitaker, who was my priest-quorum advisor in Southern California? Just wondering. Did he ever tell you about the time we played volleyball? I felt so bad, but I was laughing so hard. I did not know my own strength. I had to hold back. I was just too powerful. Another time in high school, during PE, I branded a person with Spalding. He showed us his chest. Spalding in reverse. Dear God. And so, yeah, no more volleyball ever. Because Travis branded somebody. Have you even read the controversial Musket fire speech? By calling it controversial, you already know what's in it. And yes, I have clips. And apparently I didn't put the clips in there, but I did get them from my files and used them on future videos because it's hilarious. He's an evil man, and he's not dead yet. Okay, and so these two are BYU again. George Brooks, why would you put out lies like this? Apparently Mormons are unclear of the definition of a lie. Or they lie about the definition of lie. What do you hope to gain? I'm hoping to save your life. The prophets are lying to you. When somebody's lying to you, they're your enemy. I learned this as a little kid. He's lying. I can't trust him. I don't want to associate with him. I don't want to do what he tells me to do, which is to hurt myself. And so now, that's it. To have you realize the church is lying to you and want to hurt you. 12 more days. And so, JKS6 or 12. Bro, is everything okay? Like, I thought this talk was pretty tactless too, but it seems unreasonable to suggest he's ordering murder here. Calling me a liar. Everybody calls me a liar. Oh, there's that guy. I did your video already. Okay, this is a different video. Prophets enforcing priestcraft upon Mormons with threats of violence and death. Do you understand where priestcraft comes from? I don't make it up. It's in the Book of Mormon. It's not defined on Google or by Wikipedia or YouTube. Every time I put priestcraft in the title of the video, it has a red line under it because it doesn't acknowledge the Book of Mormon word. Your craft, career, is being a priest. Priestcraft. And the Book of Mormon condemns it. You're supposed to freely teach the word. You're not supposed to have a cushy lifestyle with the word. You don't want your preachers telling you that you need to pay up or God is gonna murder me. I need 3 more jets or yachts or homes in foreign countries, or Jesus is gonna murder me. Check our money order now. Remember those days? And then they'd cover it up with the prosperity gospel. Yeah, well, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's worse. Jesus atoned for you, so you owe him. Pay up. You will never be able to pay Jesus back, and so the least you could do is pay 10% of any income you receive. When I first went on to YouTube before signing in, it had a Tony Soprano scene. Hilarious. Yep. You see, there's this thing that you can do called pattern matching, and this is how you determine anomalies. A lie is an anomaly because the truth follows patterns. Lies don't. And so sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you are. So anyway, on that priestcraft video, 119. You all know it, right? Right? You study Mormonism. You don't just coast through the church and don't bother to study your scriptures. Or at least read them. I was born and raised in the church. You can't tell me the church never talks about it. Priests. Priestcraft. That's what it's talking about. That's priestcraft. Giving money to priests is priestcraft. There is no other excuse for this. For behold, verily thus saith the Lord, I require all their surplus property to be put into the hands of the bishop of my church in Zion, for the building of mine house, and for the laying of the foundation of Zion, and for the priesthood. Priestcraft. He's saying it's the Lord. But wait, there's more. 2 Nephi, chapter 26. Behold, hath the Lord commandeth that there shall be no priestcrafts. And he defines priestcraft for you. Behold, the Lord hath forbidden this thing. But it's the Lord. Thus saith the Lord. Priestcraft. And then there's additional priestcraft for the presidency of the church. Apparently they can rack up debts beyond the priestcraft that they get. And then threaten that Jesus is going to murder you if you don't pay the debts of the first presidency. And you got fooled by this? You already know they're liars, and so any contradictions you can identify as lies. This is an anomaly. It's going against the Book of Mormon. Nobody's allowed to go against the Book of Mormon, because if you go against the Book of Mormon, you're removing the keystone. It crumbles. And so, yeah, oh look, July 8th, 1838. Amazing. That's when the Danites cooed Joseph Smith's church. And so, the rock gremlin says, I am a previously practicing Mormon. Yeah, I can tell because you used the wrong term for it. You're a former Mormon. Excommunicated, former, or never Mormon. And so apparently you didn't stay in long enough to know that the church was false. Because you claim you left because it was false, but you didn't understand it. He doesn't exactly say what he left for, other than a misleading narrative. But let's read it. And while I still think the church does a lot of good things for a lot of people, dear God, you never even read your Bible, or you don't understand it. Matthew chapter 7, how to identify a liar. A false prophet. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in the clothing of the Lamb, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, figs, or thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. It is impossible for prophets who lie to do anything good and produce the fruit of righteousness. They are liars. Everything they do, everything they say leads to corruption and evil. Do you not believe your Bible? I didn't even use the Book of Mormon version of it in 3rd Nephi. If you're not going to believe the Book of Mormon, are you going to believe the Bible? So yeah, this guy, he doesn't seem to understand any of this. He left the church because the church was lying, and yet he doesn't have a clue. He thinks that somehow they do a lot of good things for a lot of people. No, they don't. Charity, you're saying? Are you sure? Do you give a person a fish? Do you teach a person to fish? Or do you invest in a person so that they can pull themselves out of poverty? Yeah, that fish story is incomplete and thus inaccurate. Because it excuses people. We taught you how to fish, go do it yourself. But there's no water, there's no pond, there's no fish, they're not even healthy. What good is my education if there are no good, healthy fish for me to obtain? Thus, an investment is required. That's why the state of Utah failed for their homeless program that they implemented and then immediately canceled this year. It failed instantly because it was just a thing that the people running it could get money for their lifestyle. They had no intention of helping the homeless. You know, like Gail Miller at that shelter. 3 shelters, technically. Not a single one of those homeless are getting helped. Isn't that amazing? But Gail Miller sure got a lot richer. Liars reveal they are corrupt and evil. Is this doctrine too complicated? I think they are intentionally deceptive in their financial matters, then they're not doing any good to any people. When you got rocks on your head. That plus the fact that the Mormon Church was founded on some very shady and downright illegal and immoral practices, there's the misleading narrative, I think. And he's been lied to by the Danites, who are liars about Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. Ta-da! Now do you see where the cause is? Brigham Young and his Danites are the core cause of lies against Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. And still to this day, both Mormons and ex-faux never Mormons still believe the lies, knowing they are lying. This is weird. What is wrong? And so, he then says, I believe this video is presenting a misleading narrative. It's actually about my video. He's left the church because of illegal, immoral practices of the founder. Which are lies of the Danites. And so he's now calling me a liar when he knows the church is lying to him, but says that they do a lot of good, but they lie about their financial matters. And so he's calling me a liar because he has no clue about Section 119. By putting priestcraft in the title of my video, everybody's supposed to know what I'm talking about. You're all supposed to know it's condemned in the Book of Mormon from the passage I just read to you in 2 Nephi 26. And yet, you call me the liar? I make this so easy for you. Do I have to make it more easier? Because I don't have enough room for YouTube to allow me to put the full information in the title. 26 minutes is not enough room to put as a title on YouTube. You're supposed to have a level of intelligence. You're supposed to go, oh, this is talking about the Mormon Church. I know a little about the Mormon Church because I go to church. I listened to the second Sunday session of General Conference, at least for the first 5 minutes, until I fall asleep. Or get distracted by a YouTube video. Oh my God. And seriously, you guys think you know better than me, huh? You who just coast through the church. You think you know it all. And you think you know that I'm wrong. You don't even bother to study, and yet you think you're an expert. Dear God. What job are you in? Or are you fired from that job? Because you embellished your resume, which is a problem here in Utah, I understand. And so, by including content that has been clearly taken way out of context, really, those two passages of Scripture contradicting each other is way out of context, huh? And he left the church because he believed the lies of the Danites. And so he's calling me a liar. If you have a beef with the Mormon Church, great. But at least don't stoop to their level of deception. Now, I approve with that doctrinal precept. You don't fight lies with lies. Ex foe never mows. But you're missing the whole point. Dear God. And Robert Malfi said okay to BYU orders. Dear God. What do you mean by okay? So I just deleted it. And so, yeah, BYU orders. They're all on BYU orders. Dear God. Everybody's calling on me a liar about the BYU orders, which was all over the news. They got more views than me. You all heard the news. You all know the controversy. You all know it was Holland and his doc on the Musket. You all know that the news, if you've been watching it because you watched it that evening, has been talking to you about LGBTQIAPO plus in Utah getting abused. Who do you think's abusing them? Mormons? I'm seriously thinking that this is a hacker problem. There's something wrong going on. The brand new camera is just freezing. Yeah, no. You know, all the threats that I've been getting, all of the attacks, which, right before conference. And so again, BYU orders Nancy Holt. Fake news. Do you not even remember that your beloved news channel lost in court for what? Oh, lying. God. That caused the Murdoch guy to have to quit. And so, yeah, continuing with the theme, BYU orders 17 minutes ago before the start of this video, because now we're on YouTube, the most recent ones, that people are going to get themselves hidden from my videos, from my channel. These people have no interest in what I'm talking about. They don't believe me. They're calling me liars. And so, because you chose to attack me with threats, I'm only doing what you wanted to have done in the first place. Never have seen my channel. Because apparently you don't know how to stay away. You won't leave me alone. You don't know Mormonism, and you think that I, therefore, must be threatened to believe whatever it is, the crap you believe, which are all lies. Because you don't know Mormonism. You don't know your scriptures. You don't know what the prophets are saying to you. You don't know what the learning of the Jews is. You don't understand that the prophets are lying. Not catching on yet? How many more times do I have to keep repeating this lie thing? Where do liars go again? Oh, it's somewhere in the New Testament, I believe. Or is it Old Testament? It's in the Book of Mormon. And so, John Horton, you should support the leaders of the church. Excuse me? For the BYU thing? Because that's what Holland said too. We need to start using muskets, and everybody needs to support us as the prophets of the church in all doctrinal matters. I have those clips. I've been using them. I have his talk. That's where I got him from. I don't manipulate anything. It's the church that manipulates things. It's the church that are supposed to be banned on YouTube because YouTube now requires you to say if your content is fake. And the church won't get banned because the church is the major donor to the church through the stock investment, or to YouTube through the stock investment. And so, here again, John does not get it. They lied. Holland lied. There's even videos by ex-FOMOs about Holland lying for the Lord with his Harvard talk. I have that one too. But Holland's not going to last long enough to become the president of the church, so I don't really push that. I focus on the president, who is Nelson. And since Oaks is the number 2, which he could have been number 1, but he chose not to put Jesus first. And so Nelson was first. I have that conference. I've done the videos. We all know it. And so yeah, it wasn't Jesus that told Nelson to make Oaks his number 1 and boot Uchtdorf out of the presidency. And then have him assigned to the Russian temple. Where is it? We're still waiting. You notice the hat? This is the prop in the background, so those of you who have been watching are going, oh, there it is. No, the church is not trying to help all communities without abandoning principles. Dear God, John, you're living a little bubble lie. And you're threatening me to support liars. Mormons are just the most evil people in the world. Dear God. Great googly moogly. And so, next in line, it has been so much fun to bring back Oaks's clips. Because he's the little devil on Nelson's shoulder. Literally. It's Oaks who's running the church. Nelson is not the decider. And if you saw the press conference way back in the beginning, yeah, ex-FOMOs caught it too. Oh my God, he's already been usurping the presidency this whole time. He's just supposed to be a counselor. He's just a counselor. Yep, and so, Edgar Liano, you are a joke, liar. Sorry, those were actual clips. That's the actual footage, and you should have caught on with the book that's right next to him in the picture. Moroni and the Swastika. Did you go to his YouTube videos to listen to what he had to say? Did you buy his book and read it? I did. It's very disturbing. This church always has supported the enemies of the world because they too are the enemy of the world. This is what it means when you are liars. You are a danger to society. You are terrorists. You are seditious conspirators. You are criminals. And none of you seem to care or get it. So, let's check to see if there's any of them that YouTube... No, YouTube doesn't bother to do that anymore.